Hey there, it's Nick.
And it's Leah.
Real quick thing before we get going. Did you know that we have a new benefit on Patreon?
I did know.
Yes. So if you want an ad-free version of our show, you, of course, can continue signing up for Wolves Plus exclusively on Apple Podcasts. But you can now get the same benefit when you join us on Patreon as a moon howler or higher.
A moon howler. I want to be a moon howler. I am a moon howler.
You are a moon howler. Yes. Yes. You are the very definition. You are the model moon howler.
Boy, do I moon howl. Also, you're not only getting the ad-free version, you're also getting all of our Patreon content.
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's tons of bonus content, which you've never seen if you haven't joined us on Patreon. So please either join us on Wolves Plus through Apple Podcasts or join us on Patreon.
Come moon howl.
Hey, everybody. It's Nick Layton.
And it's Leah Bonema.
And we had so many great questions from you all in the wilderness.
Ow!
That we have a bonus episode. So here we go. Our first question is, quote, "What is a lady to do when a man pulls out her chair? I was at a potluck and a sweet older gentleman pulled out my chair. I had no idea what to do. I ended up sitting down and sliding forward myself. But I don't know if I did the right thing. It all happened so fast. I've been overthinking it and reliving the anxiety all day. Please help."
I love this one because it is, in my experience, it does require you, and I'd be interested in hearing if there's another way. You got to scoot. Once you sit down, you got to scoot.
Yes, some participation is required on behalf of the person sitting. Yes.
So I think our letter writer did perfect. I slid forward myself because they can't, unless it's a roller chair, they can't push us in.
Well, there is a technique in which the chair gets pushed forward and then the person might actually lean forward a little bit or stand up a little bit. And then the chair gets scooched a little more. And then the person will say like, "Oh, are you comfortable?" And then you're like, "Oh, yes, thank you." And then that's the end of it. So there can be some adjustment. But yes, if you wanted to scooch it yourself, I mean, that's also allowed, I think.
Well, I think people like keep their hands on the back of the chair and we pretend that they're scooching, but really we're going up and sort of moving forward a little bit.
Yes. I mean, all of this is just sort of pageantry.
Yeah, it's a dance.
I mean, unless you're wearing a big hoop skirt, and you just can't do it yourself, which is, I think, where this comes from. I mean, there was a time when women were wearing clothing that actually made it difficult for them to pull their chairs forward, and so they needed the help. Okay. I don't know if we live in that world anymore.
No, I think it's just like somebody being polite.
Yes, but I was thinking about this, and I am so rarely dining out with anybody where I would do this for someone else. Like, if I'm in a fancy restaurant, generally speaking, the person who is bringing us to our table, they're handling this chair thing.
Well, even in that situation, you're still scooting forward yourself.
Right, but I, as another guest, I'm probably not assisting like somebody else. If I was at a dinner party, I guess maybe I would offer the person on my right assistance if they needed it. But like, I feel like it can be more awkward than not.
Well, I think our letter writer is writing in as the sitter, not the puller.
Right. This is the sitter.
This is the sitter.
But if I was the sittee, is that the right term? If I was the person assisting with the sitting, like I so rarely have occasion to assist somebody. And it feels so awkward if I were to do it because it would feel very forced. I don't know if I could do it in a way that felt very natural and not like making a big show. Like, "Oh, please let me assist you with your chair, madam."
Well, like say we were going out to dinner somewhere. And you got to the table first.
Right.
You could just pull out one chair for me.
If I did that for you,
and then point at it like, "This one's you." And then I would go,
"Oh, this is a chair. You sit in it, Leah."
You know, Nick, a lot of people actually do this. They just pull it out when you get there and then they go sit at the other one.
Oh, like that's my signal, like, "Oh, you sit here."
Or this is like, "Oh, for you."
For you. Well, if I just pulled out your chair and then didn't actually scooch it back in, then that's weird.
I've definitely had people pull out my chair and then not scooch it.
Well, I don't need help pulling out the chair.
I don't need help scooching it either.
That's not where we need the help.
No, but it's the elegant of being like, "Here."
Right. It's just sort of a thoughtful gesture. I am assisting you in this sort of nice, thoughtful way. And it's not actually helping you, but I'm just sort of suggesting helpfulness.
Yeah, it's not really helping. In fact, unless some people need help with chairs. But if I didn't need help sitting, you're actually giving me more work because now I got to scoot in like a squat position. But we're doing it out of,
Use
like
your core.
Yeah, you're just sort of in a mid and then but you're just doing it out of politeness.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, I don't expect you to pull a chair out for me. I was just using that as an example of like how you're just
I'm happy
pulling it
to.
out. You're not.
If you would like me to be chivalrous in that way, if that's where you want this relationship to go, I would be delighted. Hold open doors, hold your bag, call you madam.
I held open doors for you, and I'd be happy to pull your chair out. The example was to be like, you're not actually helping me push it in.
Right. It's not actually helping you.
You're just pulling the chair.
Right. Okay. No, that's fair. That's fair. No, I mean, I think we want to live in a world in which people are demonstrating moments of thoughtfulness. And this is one of those demonstrations. Like, this is just me thinking of you and your comfort at the table. And so that's why it's sort of a nice gesture. And I think it's nice when it's real slick and it's not a big production. So I think we want to just be very cool about it and be like, okay, here's your chair, up, in you go. And that's the end of it. And I feel like if it isn't awkward and it doesn't make anybody feel self-conscious, then that's great.
And I think our letter writer handled it perfectly. I sat down and I slid forward.
Yeah, I think that is the way to handle it. And if they also assisted you with the scooching, that is also fine.
I've definitely pulled some chairs out for some people.
Yeah, it happens. Yeah, it definitely happens.
I'm very chivalrous.
That is true. Yes. You do love holding open a door.
I love holding open a door.
Perhaps for too long. To the point where it actually becomes not chivalrous because now you've made it awkward for everybody.
But then I stick my hand out and I go, don't you hurry. I love to do this.
And they're 2 miles away.
Do not hurry. I live for this.
Take your time. Got nowhere to be.
This is why I'm taking a broadsword fighting class, Nick, because at the end of the day, I am a knight.
Oh, sidebar, everybody. Did you know that Leah is currently educating herself with swords?
What a wild world.
Yeah, I mean, you're basically learning how to fight with swords, like real swords.
Yes.
How fun.
Thank you.
So our next question is, quote, my friend turned me into Studio Ghibli art using ChatGPT. I'm upset because now ChatGPT has access to my image. Should my friend have asked my permission? Or by using social media, should I expect my photos to be free to use by others? What is the etiquette around sharing images of people to AI?
I mean, what a new world etiquette question.
Right? Oh my goodness.
We are in the future.
Yes, the future is now. So first, I guess, what is Studio Ghibli, for anybody who doesn't know? So basically, this is a Japanese anime studio that has a very specific visual style. And I think people are going around like turning themselves into characters with this style. And so like this is a thing on social media that people are doing.
Yes.
And so I guess the question is it okay to use somebody else's image to do this?
I wouldn't, but I at the same time would assume that if I'm online, ChatGPT and everything has access to I think most people would. I think it's normalized at this point. If you're online, your stuff is in there.
Yes, I think ChatGPT already has your stuff.
ChatGPT has everything. If you're not online and your friend requests an image and then puts it in there and you're like, I have no online stuff, then I feel like that would be a misstep.
Yes, that does feel too far. Like if you had private wedding photos that were not online and then a friend uploaded them, yeah, that might be too far.
But I do think that it's fair to assume that if it's online, ChatGPT has access to it.
Right. Now, that aside, I think it would be nice to still ask for permission. Anyway, even if ChatGPT already has it, it would be nice to be like, hey, I wanted to turn you into a Studio Ghibli character. Would that be okay?
I agree with that 100%. That's why I was saying I wouldn't do it to somebody without asking.
Yeah, I think that's the way to do it. So now I guess the question is, if we wanted to go back to our friend and be like, oh, that made me a little uncomfortable, I guess what would we say? And I guess you could say like something like that, which is like, hey, having my stuff in AI makes me a little uncomfortable. And I'm sure it's already in there, but like, let's not give them any more. So next time, just ask me first and let me know if like the photo you want to use, like if I'm cool with.
Yeah, or you could say, hey, I don't use ChatGPT, so it's fun that you do it, but if I could not be involved.
Right. Yeah, I don't want them to know about me when AI takes over.
I also wonder if it's like, I feel like the Gen Zs right now are just, everything's online, so they don't even think about it in that way. But that I would be interested in knowing if like a 20-year-old, I think they are just like, it's all in there, because it's been in there since the day they were born.
Yes, I think notions of privacy are very generational. And then how we regard privacy in general. I think this is also very generational, and how guarded people want to be and what expectations of privacy are, for sure. And I think certainly kids today, yeah, I think they are certainly more open about sort of living their lives more in public and as open books. Whereas I think, other generations are like, oh no, something should remain private.
But I think that lends itself to, because nobody's wrong. It's just what makes you feel comfortable.
Yes, totally. These are different styles. And I think if you're the type of person that likes turning people into anime characters, and I get it, how fun. I think you share yours, like, oh, this is what I did for my photo. Do you want me to make you one? And then that's a way to ask.
Yeah. And then if the person isn't comfortable with it, we just move on.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
And now it's time for Intermezzo.
Intermezzo.
So this episode is brought to you by Mint Mobile. And summer's just around the corner, and the folks at Mint Mobile have a hot take. Getting a summer bod is out, and getting your savings bod is in. This spring and summer, we want skimpy wireless bills and fat wallets. And with premium wireless plans for just $15 a month, you can have both without breaking a sweat or the bank.
$15 a month is a great deal.
And super easy. I just downloaded the Mint Mobile app on my phone and I activated the eSIM, and you just enter the eSIM number, boop, 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 boop. And you just follow the prompts, and you can either keep your existing phone number or you can get a new one. And that's it.
1, 2, 3, boom, done.
So this year, skip breaking a sweat and breaking the bank. Get your summer savings and shop premium wireless plans at mintmobile.com/WYRBW. That's mintmobile.com/WYRBW.
Read the fine print, Nick.
Upfront payment of $45 for a 3-month, 5-gigabyte plan required, equivalent to $15 a month. New customer offer for first 3 months only. Then, full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See Mint Mobile for details. And now it's time for Intermezzo.
Intermezzo.
So this episode is brought to you by EveryPlate. So Leah, what is EveryPlate?
EveryPlate is America's best value meal kit.
That's right. You can count on EveryPlate to make mealtimes easier without compromising on quality.
And this week I had the Turkish spiced chickpea and basmati bowl with pickled cabbage, cucumber salad, and red pepper hummus. Hello.
That sounds good.
Delicious.
Was that easy to put together?
It was easy to put together.
So, what are you waiting for? Dig into these flavor-packed meals your household will love. New customers can enjoy this special offer of only $1.99 a meal. Go to everyplate.com/podcast and use code RBW199 to get started. That's everyplate.com/podcast and use code RBW199 to get started. Applied as discount on first box, limited time only.
Check out the chickpeas. So good. This is my second chickpea. Loving it.
So if there's a chickpea dish on the menu, you're like, get the chickpea one.
Get it. I mean, they're all good, but I'm deep in the veggie dishes now.
You heard it here first.
You heard it here first.
So our next question is, quote, due to a variety of circumstances, I have had the great fortune to retire from the working world early. It's been a few months and I'm loving it. However, what I was not prepared for is the reaction from some of the people around me. Multiple people have questioned my decision and how I will possibly fill my time and explained to me how bored they would be if they were retired. I've also had people ask me how I can afford to do this at my age. And speaking of age, several people have outright asked me how old I am. Can you help me with a reply to these types of questions? They are honestly bringing me down, and I want to enjoy this time in my life.
This question, I got so upset for our letter writer. I was like, who are people? Why why are words coming out of their mouth to you like this?
Yeah, it's like, can I not just enjoy this?
It reminded me of, and it's not to the same level, but just when I was moving to California, the amount of people, I'm excited about it. I'm moving.
Oh, the traffic.
I would never live there. I mean, you're just like, oh, well, this has literally nothing to do with you. And I don't know why these words are coming out of your mouth, because you're just a parade rainer right now.
Yeah. No, this is a parade rainer. Get your poncho. Yeah. You need your etiquette poncho.
That would be can we make etiquette ponchos for
I think we were supposed to already.
Weren't we supposed to make etiquette ponchos
Yeah,
for
no, we already
parade?
talked about etiquette ponchos, and I don't know if I ever made them.
Oh, we got to get that. And I think that's one line for our letter writer. Let me go get my poncho, since I didn't realize we were going to rain on my parade today.
Oh, that's actually that's not bad. Oh, I kind of love that.
I think people need to realize what they're doing. They need to be snapped out of I think people are reactive and they just say the thought in their mind.
Yeah.
And there needs to be a moment where people think, am I being rude? Yes.
Yes. Yeah. And in American etiquette, some of the rudest questions you can have for someone are about money and age. And so you are doing both here.
Way to knock out 1-2 punch.
Like asking somebody about money, it's rude. It's no matter how you slice it. Like, oh, do you have enough money for this?
Yeah, unbelievable. In New York and LA, you're allowed to say, can I ask how much you pay for rent?
Yeah, well, we have other sneakier ways to find out how much money you have. Oh, what neighborhood do you live in? That's a good one.
No, but I think the rent thing you're allowed to ask because people are looking for places to live. Whereas in other cities, you don't do that.
Put a pin in that. I don't think you're allowed to ask somebody how much they pay in rent.
Oh, Nick, in the comedy community, we are constantly like, where can I find a place where I can live off comedy money?
That's a different question than how much do you, Leah Bonham, pay per month?
Oh, no, that's how we're all asking it. I don't know. I think we're swinging in different circles.
Okay, yeah. I am not swinging in a circle in which we are discussing how much our monthly housing costs are.
Oh, I am.
Okay. So for this, though, it's rude. It's totally rude. So I think my first thought is that nosiness does not obligate you to participate. Just because they're nosy doesn't mean you have to indulge that. So you do not have to respond.
And they're more than nosy. They're rudesy nosy.
Oh, yeah. What's the word for rude nosiness?
Oh, this is going to be a fun word.
Oh, listeners, we need your ideas. What is the combination of nosiness and rudeness together?
Because I don't like nosy. That sounds like...
And rudesiness? I don't know.
And Rosie is a name, so that doesn't work.
Yeah, Rosie is not good. I'm thinking like schnoz, something nose related.
Oh, I love the word schnoz. I love the word schnoz.
Or like rhino, like rhinoplasty. So like Rhino Rudy.
Rude's rhino?
Runo Rhino.
That's a rude rhino right there.
That's a rude rhino. Okay, put that on the whiteboard. Listeners, we do need your help with this though.
Nasal.
Rude-nizzle. Oh, golly. Okay, well, we're going to have to workshop this. But whatever it is, we don't like it, and I don't think you have to respond. But you have a choice. You can decide, who am I today? And so you can be the type of person that just wants to like make a joke, which is like, oh, a lady never tells, or whatever you want to say. Or you can just sort of deflect, which is like, oh, I appreciate your interest, but perhaps another time. Now tell me about what you're up to.
Okay.
Or we can just coldly say no, which is just like, thank you for your concern. And that's it.
Thank you for your concern.
Thank you for your concern.
I think we could also do I was super happy about it until this conversation.
Yeah, I was really having a great time until we chatted.
For the how old are you? How can you retire so young? I like the thank you for your concern. Thank you for your concern.
Yeah, or like, oh, I'm not sure if my finances are all that interesting, but thank you for your concern.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, that's not bad. I kind of like that. But yeah, how old are you? I mean, old enough.
I've literally never had somebody tell me something they were excited about where I've responded with anything less than, I'm so excited for you.
Yay! Congratulations.
Because guess what? It's not about me.
Yeah. I mean, isn't that always the issue with all of these rude things?
Rude nosies.
Rude nosiness. When we come up with the term, it's going to be so great.
It's so close. I feel it's marinating in both our noggins.
Yeah.
Obviously, it can be a different word for rude.
It could also be a different word for rude. Yeah. A different word for nose. The concept is people who are both rude and nosy at the same time. This combination, this flavor, this feeling, what do we call this?
Up in your biz, impolite.
Up in your biz.
Gross.
Yeah, it's just gross. Yeah. What is this called? Yeah, it's gross.
It's gross.
It's gross. Okay. Maybe that's it. Or booger, something that's in the nose.
Oh, because it's in your nose and it's rude.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, you just shot boogers at me.
No, you could literally look at somebody and go, oh my goodness, you're a booger, which is a person who's being nosy and rude.
Okay. Okay. I mean, that goes on the whiteboard too.
So I do think people need to have that moment where it's reflected back to them so they can think about what just came out of their mouth.
Yes. We have said it before. You are not obligated to make somebody comfortable who is acting rudely. It is not your job to diffuse it and make them feel comfortable about the rude thing they just said. So you can make this awkward for them, which is like, oh, what an interesting question. Why is that important to you?
The amount of my life that was spent trying to make people who made me feel bad to diffuse the situation? No, we're not doing that anymore.
Yeah, no, it is very freeing once you understand that it is not your obligation to make people comfortable who are acting rudely. I
also love that this is, I could also employ the stare here.
A stare is great. Yeah, I think a chilly stare. Or my favorite is the pursed, puzzled look.
Yeah. We're going to have to do a, I can't believe I can't think of this right now. It's like the easiest thing. It was a television show and a man and a woman get married and they already had a lot of kids. And then so the Brady Bunch.
I love that. That's how we got to the Brady Bunch.
And then, well, then they have all the squares with the different faces. We should do one of those for Nick faces.
Oh, 9 different Nick faces. And then we'll still put Alice in the middle. Okay.
Yes, let's still put Alice in the middle.
Yeah, no, I definitely have definitely 8 expressions that we can use for this, for sure.
Yes.
Yeah. No, okay. So our next question is, quote, is it ever acceptable to research someone's details online before meeting them in person? I did this a few years ago with unfortunate results, and I've always shied away from it since. Here's the story. I'm a journalist, and over the years, I've become quite good at uncovering information online. That's usually a positive thing, but I find it's not a good skill to have when meeting new people. A few years ago, I enrolled in a part-time master's degree program in international relations. About a month before our classes began, the course coordinator asked each of us to write a brief biography about ourselves so that it could be shared with the rest of the class in advance. I wrote my bio, and I was excited to read about my classmates too. One new student simply listed her home city and then described herself as an activist. That piqued my curiosity, and I wanted to know what type of activism she was engaged in. So I turned to the internet for answers, and it took me about 3 minutes to discover that she had been campaigning on behalf of a family member who had been convicted of a crime. I read about the case, and it really seemed like there was a good reason to believe that this young woman's relative had been wronged. I probably spent about 15 minutes reading about this woman's family story before I felt like I was prying into the life of someone I didn't know. And then, when we actually met in person a few weeks later, I felt a bit awkward. I didn't know if I should mention that I knew anything about this case. And I felt that I'd overstepped a boundary by reading about this woman before meeting her. We did become friends, but I never told her that I read about her before meeting her because I didn't want to creep her out. I think it probably held me back from being even closer friends with her. And after graduating from the program, we went our separate ways. Since then, I've stopped myself from reading about someone before knowing I'm going to meet them. Sometimes in my career, that's been a problem. For example, when I'm going to a dinner party and I know by the guest list I'll meet fellow journalists for the first time, I think maybe it would be a nice thing to read some of their work in advance if I haven't already done so. I'm usually pretty good at chatting with people and making new friends, so it's not really an issue about finding things to talk about. It's more that I wonder if it's rude if I don't acknowledge someone's work to them, especially if they have a public-facing job. So, is it polite or creepy to learn about people before meeting them?
Great question.
Great question.
And I think this is also the new world etiquette order.
Yeah, it's definitely a lot easier to find out about people in advance. However, when the world was smaller and we were in a small town, you kind of knew about everybody's business. So is it that different?
Well, it's different that it's at our fingertips. It's different the way we get information.
Yes, I guess about perfect strangers. Yeah, like the mysterious man who just came in on the last train. Yeah, we don't necessarily know about them in the 1800s.
Yeah.
Whereas now we can just like find out in 2 seconds.
Now we can just search his image in Google and be like, oh, did you move here from Charlotte?
Right. Yeah. All right. So Brave New World.
So I have multiple thoughts.
All right. Bring it.
So I do think there's different circumstances on when I would think talking about researching somebody is fine.
Yeah, totally.
Like on a date, I probably wouldn't.
Okay.
Like, hey, I Googled you. I noticed that you used to be married and you had 3 kids and you lived it. You know what I mean? I would keep that to myself.
Okay.
At a dinner party when I knew there were other journalists there.
You would keep that to yourself or you wouldn't actually research it at all?
Okay. If you're not researching, I think it's normal if you're going to go out on a date with somebody you meet online to look them up.
Right.
To see if you might get murdered.
Yeah. No, I think a safety concern for sure. Yes. I think there's a difference between researching and disclosing. And so let's put a pin in that. We'll come back to that, but continue.
At a dinner party when there's going to be other people in your profession, I do think that people always love a compliment. So you're like, oh, so you're going to be here. I loved your writing on Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom.
Yes, that scholarly peer-reviewed paper. Yes, well done.
That's just what popped into my head. I think in this circumstance with the woman in your class, I would have felt the same where I felt awkward and then I'm like, I shouldn't bring it up. But because I'm far enough away from it and I got to read about it and think about it, I think that if something like this comes up again, you could be like, hey, I was excited to learn about all of our all of our fellow classmates, I noticed that you're an activist for blankety blank. That seems like really important. I was wondering if there's anything I can do to help, to be a part of that. Or is there a petition I can sign?
Okay, that's an interesting approach. Yeah. But in that same vein, you're disclosing the fact that, I Googled you up the wazoo, and so I know all about this.
But I would say that I've looked up she read everybody's bio for everybody in the class.
Yeah. I think for this specifically, I think you could have said like, hey, I looked everybody up. I saw you're an activist. I saw the thing about your family's case. How interesting. I would love to talk to you about it sometime. And maybe leave it at that.
Because I think if they have it online, and if you're an activist for something, you want people to know. A part of that job is wanting to get the word out.
Yes. Although just because something's online does not necessarily give you license to bring it up. Because like where everybody lives and like what they paid for their house, like I don't want to be invited to your house. If like, oh, beautiful house. I already looked at the floor plan before I came and I saw how much you paid and I know what your mortgage is. Like, I don't want that conversation from one of my guests.
That's an entirely different conversation than if I'm like an activist for.
Well, right. Yeah. So I guess the activist stuff, like that is sort of public. Those are news stories. It's very personal though.
It's personal, but it's not private. And it's not private to the point where to be an activist, you actually want eyes on your cause.
Right. Yes.
That's the goal of being an activist. So you're actually doing what she wants and is looking for in that circumstance.
Yes, that's a good point. So then that's not creepy. That's, I think, fine if it's done in that sort of spirit.
Because I took from our letter writer that when they looked it up, they think, yes, this family member was wronged. You know, I want to support.
Yes. I mean, I think it's a little edge case because it's such a personal story, I'm guessing. And so I think you'd have to be very delicate how you bring up how much you know about it. But I think acknowledging that you do know something about it, I guess, could be okay.
I just feel like it's already been looked up.
Yeah, you can't unring that bell.
And our letter writer is sitting there feeling it because they said they feel like they could have been closer friends if they had talked about it.
Yeah, I don't like that detail.
And I absolutely understand the feeling of being like, oh, I feel like I overstepped. I don't want to bring it up. And that is something that I would definitely feel and do. So I think that just putting it out on the table, because it is something that they're passionate about. And if you come at it from that way, then it could be just a supportive move. And you did read about everybody in the class. It wasn't just this if you had just looked this one person up,
right,
that would be weird.
Yeah, of course. And I think sources of information, which are fair, anything on your LinkedIn, anything professional, anything about your professional work, anything you've published, I feel like all that's fair game. And I mean, I remember doing this when I was doing like red carpet event coverage. And like, I knew I was going to be going to 3 events in an evening. And the publicist for those events would send me a list of like expected guests. And so there'd be like 200 different names of boldface names. And I would Google every one of them. I would try to get their photo to see what they looked like. I'd try to learn something about them all. And I would try to memorize all of that for like 600 people. And then when I went and I spotted somebody, I'd be like, oh, that's such and such, CEO of such and such. And here's a fun fact about them. Okay, got it. And so like that was the job. And so I think if you are dining with journalists, yeah, you should totally like Google them up the wazoo and read their stuff. That's great.
I think so too.
You shouldn't feel awkward about that at all.
I think with the lady in our class, just like Nick said, the dividing line is that if she was an activist for animals, she was an animal activist, we found that we would have no problem being like, hey, I saw you're into animals.
Right.
It is specifically that it's about her family.
Right.
And that's why it feels weird.
That's why it feels a little weird. But the fact that you Googled everybody and the fact that you came across this information, I don't think that's a problem necessarily. I think how you introduce that topic, I guess that's where some discretion and finesse is required. So I don't think we want to be like out of the gate like, hey, oh, you're such and such. Oh, I read about your family tragedy. Like, I think we don't want to come out of the gate with that.
Yeah, I don't think any of our letter writers would do that. I also don't think we would go, not that anybody that listens to Wolves would do this, but we don't go, oh, hey, I saw that you're an activist for blank and you think that they were incorrectly imprisoned. I disagree with that. I would not say that either.
Also that.
I wouldn't say devil's advocate. I wouldn't say that.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Yeah, I think the way to introduce it is like, hey, I read about some of your activism. How interesting.
I guess my one thing is, and I'm usually I very much agree with we don't have to have things come out of our mouths that I really agree with that. But I do feel like in my personal experience, I have let my anxiety about seeming like I've overstepped overshadow caring about somebody.
Yeah.
And those would be a few of the things that I wish I had just been more forthcoming about, because I was so afraid of overstepping that I maybe didn't express a feeling of community.
I think a good example of what you're talking about is sometimes when we have a friend and maybe somebody in their lives has passed away and they haven't told us yet, but we heard through the grapevine, through friends of friends. And now we know, and we're thinking like, oh, should I reach out to them? Should I express my condolences? And I think very often, like, yes, I think we actually want to express our condolences.
Hard agree.
Right?
Yes.
And so unless there's some reason why like they're keeping it a secret or you're not supposed to know or you were told in confidence or like, unless there's one of those circumstances, most of the times it's nice to express condolences. So I think the idea of like, oh, I don't want to act on information I have. Yeah, I think we want to use discretion.
And I think when we do express those things, we don't expect anything back from those people.
No.
That we just are sending our love to them.
Yeah, exactly. And then my final thought is, even when information you have is public, you do want to be sort of mindful of how you're telling the person. And an example of this happens where people will come up to us and they'll mention something from the podcast. But what they will mention is an episode they just listened to, but that we recorded 4 years ago. And we have no idea what you're talking about. We have no context for this. And you're expecting us to agree or know what you're talking about, and we have no idea. Like recently somebody was like, oh, I love Zafus too. And I'm like, Zafus? What are you talking about? That is coming out of nowhere. And then it's like, oh, okay. There was an episode in which we were talking about not having enough chairs, and we were talking about Zen meditation cushions called a Zafu. Okay. But like, you just can't come out of the gate with Zafu with no context.
And I'm going to add to that. If it's something that might be personal or you think I might have feelings about, don't bring it up in front of other people.
Oh, great pro tip. Yeah.
I intensely dislike it when people do that to me. They'll bring up something and then there's other people that I barely know or don't know in the same context standing right there. And you're like, great, now this is a public conversation. Thank you so much. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good point. Yeah. So in the end, information is not the problem. It's what you do with it, where, when, and how.
And I really feel like we've covered a lot of angles.
Yeah, no, I think we covered them all. So our next thing is a bonkers.
Bonkers!
And it's quote, I work part-time as a spin instructor at a studio nearby. I teach 2 classes a week at the same time every evening on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and have been teaching the same time slot for the past few months. Recently, one of the women attending came up to me after class was done to ask me a question. She said that she really enjoyed the spin classes, but unfortunately, she found my voice to be, quote, a bit grating. And she was wondering if I would consider switching my class times, as these were the only classes that she could attend. I was baffled. She genuinely seemed to think this was a normal request and was irritated when I told her I would not be switching my regular class times to accommodate her incredibly rude request. It was bonkers.
Much like a spin class, I blacked out in the middle of this. It is so bonkers.
So bold. That is so bold.
First off, I mean, I wasn't even ready for the second part. I thought it was bonkers. She came over and told me my voice was a little grating.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's rude. I mean, that's so rude.
So rude.
But then.
Oh,
I mean, that would never occur to me.
I mean, I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready that somebody would ask this.
And sincerely asked this.
What kind of life are they living?
This is somebody who goes around the world thinking, well, it can't hurt to ask. Well, you know what? It can.
We all dislike you intensely.
Yes. Can you rearrange your life to accommodate my schedule and my needs?
It's not even, it's like, this is a class. This is a class. I am working.
And my voice to be a bit grating. So can you please teach a different day so we can get a different instructor?
Because this is the only time that works for me.
Yeah.
And
Thank you so much.
You're not in I have a certain octave that I like to listen to. And I request teacher, even though this is not my studio that I own, but I want everybody to be in this octave in this time slot.
I'm truly speechless. I really don't know what to say.
If we could follow this person around all day, and I bet they're saying this to everybody left, right, and center.
Yeah, I guess she goes into the coffee shop and be like, hey, would you mind moving your building across the street because the sun is just a little warm here?
Hey, so I can only get coffee between 7 and 8 a.m. and yours is not like the kind of face I like looking at. So between 7 and 8, can we have like a different face up in front? Because this is like the kind of face I like looking at between 7 and 8. And that's when I get my coffee.
Yeah.
This woman is beyond what I actually thought was what was rude. You know what I mean? It was rude at the beginning.
It's bonkers. It is truly bonkers. This is the very definition of bonkers.
This sentence, she genuinely seemed to think it was a normal request and was irritated when I told her that I would not be switching my regular class to accommodate her incredibly rude request.
To be irritated at this. That's wild.
That's wild. This is a 3. This is not 2 levels. This is 3 levels.
That is another level. Because it's like, oh, not only am I being wildly inappropriate with this request, but I'm now annoyed with you that you will not agree.
I'm now annoyed with you that you're pointing out that I am a monster.
So thank you for sending this to us. And you out there, if you have a bonkers story, please send it to us. And of course, we'll take your questions, vents, repents, etiquette crime reports, rudest things that have ever been said to your face, and all the other fun things we have. Go to our website, wereraisedbywolves.com, or you can leave us a voicemail or send us a text message, 267-CALL RBW. And we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye. Now it's time for Intermezzo.
Intermezzo.
So this episode is brought to you by Hungry Root.
And Hungry Root is like having your own personal shopper and nutritionist all wrapped into one.
Yeah, I just got my box and I've actually already been eating some of the snacks that I got. And it's great. What I like is that, yeah, it's like meals and meal kits and already prepared meals, but also it's just like regular groceries. And like sometimes you just like, oh, can I just get some blueberries too?
Yeah, they do it all for you. And they also ask how many people in your household, how many people you're shopping for. So it's very customizable to what you're looking for.
So you're going to love Hungry Root as much as we do. Take advantage of this exclusive offer for a limited time. Get 40% off your first box, plus get a free item in every box for life. Go to hungryroot.com/WYRBW and use code WYRBW. That's hungryroot.com/WYRBW, code WYRBW to get 40% off your first box and a free item of your choice for life. hungryroot.com/WYRBW, code WYRBW. And now it's time for Intermezzo.
Intermezzo.
So as you know, you can sign up for Wolves Plus, which is exclusively on Apple Podcasts, which you can get an ad-free version of our show. But we now offer the same benefit through Patreon.
And it's not just the same benefit because it's also other benefits.
Yes, plus you get all the other good stuff on Patreon. So if you join us on Patreon as a Moon Howler or higher, you get all the great stuff we have on Patreon. Plus, you can get an ad-free version of our show that you can play in most any podcast player that you'd like.
And you get the content, you get the ad-free episode, and you can email your questions in.
Yes, you get VIP access to the question line, and we actually will write back.
Nick just responds, and then I come in afterwards.
Yeah.
And I say, that sounded good.
Yeah, Leo won't contradict me anymore.
I will, but it's not a contradiction. It's also an option.
Is it? It's not always. Sometimes Leo disagrees with me.
No,
and then
it
we
was
have
like
private words about it.
No, it was this is another way to see that.
Okay.
Huh.
So if you want that, please join us on Patreon. So visit our website and click on monthly membership and learn all about it.
So fun.
Join us. Oh, Leah, one more thing.
What?
Have you signed up for Patreon yet?
I have.
Me too. You out there, have you signed up for Patreon yet? No? Well, go to our website, wereraisedbywolves.com, click on monthly membership, check it out, because we would really appreciate it if you'd support our show.
We love your support.
We would. So please do that, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.